glad no one has heard though. That really could.
Go ahead and call this meeting in order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Bray. Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Mills.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
There is a quorum.
All right, next item be invocation by Pastor Wayne Geiger for First Baptist Church, followed by a pledge of allegiance from Alderman Mills.
Father, we do thank you for this time we have together and your great love for us. As you reminded us to trust in you with all of our heart and lean not to our own understanding in all of our ways. We acknowledge you and be reminded that you will direct our paths. So we do seek you, seek to know you. We pray your blessings upon this time together and pray for wisdom. We ask these things in thy precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
Next item be police officer oath of office for Derek Keeney.
I, Derek King,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
that I will observe the provisions
that I will observe the provisions
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Green Valley,
of the city of Grand Valley,
and that I will faithfully discharge all of my duties
and that I will faithfully discharge all of my duties
as a member of the Green Valley, Missouri Police Department.
as a member of the Grand Valley, Missouri Police Department.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Rex, welcome aboard. There she goes.
Okay. Next item be public comment. We ask the citizens who wish to address the board come forward to the podium and microphone, and make sure you've signed in with your name and address for the record. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board this evening?
I'm Jan Brill, 1035 Ephraim. I come for you tonight because today I took my dogs to the vet and got the rabies shot. I went to a new vet, so at least they didn't try to tell me $1,000 worth of stuff needed to be done to my dog. Thank goodness. But and then I took them home, and I came here, and I got my license, so my dogs are legal. I'd just like to say that this city is very good to its senior citizens. However, I think we could do a little bit better when it comes to dogs and rabies vaccinations and licenses. I understand that maybe I brought the idea of a rabies clinic a little bit too late, but if you could consider moving the time that these are due from the dead of winter, when it's difficult for us oldies to get out to drink, maybe, that would be of some help to us. Also, not that the cost was on you, but it was $90 for me to do my 2 dogs. And living on a public teacher's salary retirement, I'm not poor, but $90 is a hit. And I'd just like to share that with you because I'm better off, I think, than a lot of senior citizens are. Also, as I was leaving, I should preface this by saying the railings are wonderful and thank you, and stand as a testament to if you ask, the city responds. And you can't do anything about this, but the place between where the sidewalk crosses is at an angle like this. I don't have any trouble coming up, trouble coming down. And today when I was leaving the city hall, public service truck, City of Green Valley truck came up, 2 employees came out and offered me a hand getting that short distance, which meant the world to me because if I fall, and I wanted to make sure that the council knew that these employees had kindly helped me. Short distance, but very important distance. So I hope you don't give up the idea of a rabies clinic maybe in the future. I am volunteer number 1 if it happens. And maybe you might consider moving it from winter to spring or summer for the older folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? All right, seeing none, move on to consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Alderman Skinner to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Seeing no previous business, new business presentations, or public hearings, we'll move on to resolutions. First resolution is R24-09, resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Earthworks Excavation for demolition and clearing of 600 Southwest Buckner Tarzany Road.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R24-09.
I have motion by Alderman Skinner to approve resolution R24-09. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Trozen.
Thank you. Members of the board, this was an item that we discussed during our budget workshops for the 2024 budget and was included in the 2024 budget. This would basically, the bid that's before you would remove all the structures on that property with the exception of the park maintenance facility. It would also remove all the concrete around the pool area, the foundation area, and basically then provide a level flat property that could be used then for future development, whichever the city determines to be in regards to future endeavors. We had attained 3 bids. The bid that we're recommending is the lowest and best bid, and that's with Earthworks Excavation.
It would leave the current drive though, correct? Like the
Would leave
circle
the
drive
current
thing?
drive, that's
Okay.
correct.
Will that be taking out the escape tunnel and all that?
Well, everything would then be filled in with dirt.
Yeah.
So,
In level.
yes.
Any issues like keeping the trees and stuff? They're not touching those?
I think they're trying to do as best they can on minimizing any kind of tree removal, and I think that's reflected in their bid as well.
Great.
I've not been in favor of necessarily taking this complete structure down, because I haven't seen a study that says that it's not totally salvageable for some use for the city. Other concern I have is that, has this been inspected for any hazardous material issues like asbestos before we get into demolition? Because I know that can come back on us even if we're using a approved company to do that if they don't dispose of it properly, because I've seen people with experience that.
Yeah, I would say that there is a line in there that talks about this not including if they do come across that. If they do come across that, then that has to be taken care of at that time. But it is allowed for in there. I believe when they looked at the time frames of when they thought things were built, they didn't believe that they would run into that, but don't know until they get in there and get a little deeper in it.
And that would put us in the middle of the operations of taking it down, and if we do come across some of it, or we misinterpret something that is or isn't there, I think a study maybe needs to be done to make sure we don't get into something that ends up costing us a lot more to deal with, because I know the intent is this stuff will be taken off property to be gotten rid of, more than likely, but in some certain situations with asbestos, you can get by with digging and burying it on site because it's already considered contaminated at that location. So knowing what we're getting into before we get into this, I think would be a prudent thing.
Asbestos does not require a special landfill as long as it's left in its solid state. It's not considered hazardous. It's when you start grinding and making decimal particles. As long as it remains solid state, which this would, then it is not considered hazardous. We went through that at Station 1 when we did the remodel.
And we had that also at Station 4, but the question is, if you break a tile, it's no longer in a solid state. There's still dust that can come off of that when it breaks. I'm not an expert on that, on the asbestos, and I don't want to pretend to be that or debate that. It's just that I want to make sure that before we commit into something that we don't write an unsupported check of higher expense if we don't do our due diligence.
Dealing with the hazardous stuff with the asbestos, we had quite a bit of it when we redid Station 1. It's breaking it up is not considered, has to be ground or become a dust form. Breaking it doesn't count. That's how we ended up being able to remove the flooring up at that station.
I mean, Mark, do we have any idea of what something like that would cost? Say they came across it.
No, I don't have any idea. I mean, our building official walked through the building. We didn't see, as Ken mentioned, any visible, problems that would occur, but I guess you never really know until you actually do tear it down.
Yeah. I think my point of view here is I'm in favor of it coming down, so that space can be used for the citizens. And if it had asbestos in it, it wouldn't stop me from wanting to take it down. It wouldn't, I mean, it would be nice to have a heads up, and it sounds like we've walked through it and we don't see anything like that. And to me, it seems like it was probably built before that was in use, I would think. But is there a chance that we could, I guess it's just a resolution. Would you know when the work would start on this?
I think the contractor's looking at probably starting the work within 30 days.
Okay.
This is the same contractor that the school district is using.
Oh.
Move their administrative offices up off of Pink Hill Road. And so they're basically looking at finishing up that project, and why they have the crew and everything, then would move on to this project.
Most demo companies know when they go and look at it, they're looking for that kind of stuff anyway.
And we had each of the bidders walk through the facility with us, to make sure they knew exactly what this project entailed.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
5-1. Okay. Next up, resolution R 24-10. 4-1.
Absent.
Because Brian's not absent. Brian got snowed in. Right. Next is resolution R 24-10. A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrators to spend funds to review the annual software maintenance and support agreement with Brightly Software.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 24-10.
Got a motion by Alderman Cleaver to approve resolution R 24-10. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is the asset management software that we've used for the last 6 years. This will just be the yearly update to that to cover us through this next year to renew the services that we currently have.
Any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, next up, resolution R 24-11, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to approve upgrades to 8 sets of aluminum bleachers at Monkey Mountain Park.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 24-11.
Okay, a motion by Alderman Knox to approve resolution R 24-11. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Mills. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is an item that we did go over around budget time, but essentially we knew there was work that needed to be done to the bleachers at Monkey Mountain Park. So Shannon and his staff looked at options there, and obviously there's the option to just replace everything brand new, but the cost was fairly high with that. So they did find a contractor that would go in and basically replace the pieces that needed to be replaced. So some of the, where you step on the bleachers, some of them were leaning, those would be replaced. This would add fencing behind the last rung of the bleachers for safety. Essentially, all of these items would be making the bleachers safer for anyone that's out there, make them similar to the newer bleachers that we just put in, like at Armstrong Park. So this is just one of those safety items that we feel like definitely needs to be done out there.
Any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That's it for resolutions. Up next is ordinances.
This is the second reading of Bill Number B24-01. This is an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, amending Section 130.020 court costs.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve bill number 24-01, second read, bring it back as ordinance number 2442.
I have a motion by Alderman Knox to approve Bill B 24-01 for its second reading, making ordinance 2442. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Mills. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, this will be roll call.
Alderman Arnold,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
This is the second reading of Bill Number B24-02. This is an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, amending Section 140.010 Community Center rental rates and Section 140.020 Community Pool fee schedule.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of Bill Number B2402 and approve it as ordinance 2443.
I have a motion by Alderman Mills to approve Bill B 24-02 for its second reading, making ordinance 2443. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Skinner. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, this will be roll call.
Alderman Skinner,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for ordinances. Next up, city attorney's reports.
No report, Mayor.
All right, next up, city administrator and staff reports.
Just a couple quick things. Just wanted to say thanks to our staff who, over the last few weeks, have had to be out working in not so great conditions and not so great hours in some cases. And then just welcome SRO King to the team. Just building back slowly but surely here. That's it for staff comments.
Okay, next up, Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Arnold.
So how are we doing on our staffing for PD? How many open positions do we still have?
We have 2 openings,
2 openings?
2 officer openings.
Good job starting to get them filled in, so keep up the good work.
Okay, Alderman Mills.
I just want to second what the Ken had said on the city and the roads this morning. It was smooth sailing, getting from south side to north side for me, regardless what everything was on Facebook. I had no issues. So if you guys did that just for my drive to the RV dealership, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the hard work.
See, so rubbing out our road, you're probably doing good. So
It was,
maybe it would be
it was
here.
great.
Yeah. All right, Alderman Skinner.
Are you gonna bring up the?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing.
All right.
You're gonna bring up. Well, you
All right.
drive it.
Alderman Knox.
Going back to Jan's request on the animal licensing, what would it take to change the date till
Probably
April
just
or whatever?
Yeah, and I don't know, Chief, is that
Ordinances.
actually in ordinance or is that just the policy that we
I think
have
it's
set
the
that date?
policy we've aligned with the calendar. We can evaluate that and report back to the board.
and you had looked into briefly kind of setting up the vaccination thing too, right?
Yeah, actually, Captain Christensen, who's here with us today, he's done quite a bit of work. We've got 3 veterinarians we've contacted, and 2 of them responded, and no one's interested in participating. It's staffing shortages and the ability to be close to their computer where they have to document all that.
Us elderly would appreciate it. Not have to get out on the ice.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Alderman Cleaver.
I just wanted to bring up, our meeting time. If there was, I know we start at 7, is there, I guess, ordinance or reason, obviously open up discussion of possibly starting earlier, if so, people would choose to want
I
to
think
start
it's-
earlier, but
Set by code or ordinance, but that's something that can be changed. I mean,
Yeah, there's actually just a section in the code that deals with regular meetings of the board and outlines what they are, and as of now, it's 7. I talked to Mayor a little bit about it, and we both felt like at some point maybe it came up.
we
but
had talked
there
about
wasn't
it
enough-
because what hasn't been changed since '95. You said.
Yeah, nothing in that section looked like it had been changed since 95.
I think we've talked about it once before, or something, but I think at that time somebody couldn't make it before 7. Is why it stayed at 7. I can't recall, so I don't.
so would we be open to a
I mean,
vote or
it'd be up to the board to
changing? I mean,
decide.
is
Yeah.
that, for the city staff or for the board, I mean, would an earlier start be good or bad, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think from a staff perspective, we would have any issue with it. It's all, whether it's the Board of Aldermen or Planning Commission or whatever, it's generally, it's the members that are on the committee is, everyone has a full-time job and it's kind of, depends on whether or not they can make it at whatever time is set.
So like in the next meeting or something, would we need to put that to a vote then, or how would that work? Make a change? What would we need to do?
No, I mean, as with anything like that, I think if there's consensus amongst the board and staff is directed to make that change, then we would present it at a future meeting.
I would have no problem with starting at 6.
Is that the time you're looking for?
Yeah, I was thinking 6.
6?
I can see, I'm retired, so it really doesn't make a difference to me what time we meet, but, in the future, when we have people that work, and if they work downtown or, in the metro area, and they get off at 4 or 5, that's maybe why we haven't changed it in the past, is it's a hindrance to drive from home into here and maybe get a bite to eat before you come to a meeting that may last till 10 o'clock. I know a number of our meetings may not, and don't last that long, but I think that's the emphasis why it's stayed where it's at, so that people aren't rushed around to get a bite to eat, so they can come to a meeting without being hungry and able to commit to the service, so.
If that was to happen, I guess we could change it back.
Yeah, it's just confusing to the public to be flip-flopping and moving the time in the meeting. Consistency of where it's at would be a good thing, so.
One of the things that we, as you all know, our firm represents quite a few cities, and we are starting to see more meetings moving to an earlier time. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that there is a lot more flexible work schedules for folks who are commuting. And, they're able to, finish their day at, sometimes working from home or whatever, that can happen. The other thing is, we had heard ahead of time that this issue may come up this evening, and Mr. Murphy and I had looked at the current ordinance, and there are some other things that could be could warrant a change in there. It's not very clear, as he said, it hasn't been modified since 1995. It doesn't really say anything about holding potential for virtual meetings. Like if you have inclement weather coming in, we could notice up a meeting to allow for you all to either, you can already cancel, but to maybe switch from an in-person to a Zoom if, the weather might get bad, but we're not sure, especially when we have to give notice on a Friday before a Monday meeting. Things can change in the forecast. So there are a couple other things that could be changed in the ordinance at the time. If that's the board's pleasure to make the change to time, we might also make some additional changes to make it more flexible for the board to meet. And, with technology changes since 1995, we do have more options available to us now compared to the language that's in your current ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, I could see 6:30 being a change.
So, sorry, Planning and Zoning Commission, I know it moved. What did it move to? 6:30. So it used to be a 7 o'clock meeting and it moved to 6:30.
I would like that better.
Yeah, somebody that has kids and just helping the wife get them ready for bed and stuff. That's still, all that. So.
Try it. Is everybody agreeable to 6:30? Better, I mean. Okay, well, you can draft it up and,
Would you like us to have that at the next meeting?
well, if you can get it done next meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
Get the part in there too, I mean, about the inclement weather and it's like today, if it would've stayed cold, I mean, we would've done something different. But like the way it is now, we couldn't really switch this to Zoom.
yeah, we'll shoot for the next meeting. If not, it will definitely be the 2 meetings from now.
That's all I had.
We would have to pass the ordinance before
Become
we could
official.
change the
Yeah.
time. So it would be, a meeting to do the first read, a meeting to do the second read. If you passed it, then you'd be looking at 3 meetings out from there. Time would change.
Anything else then?
That's it.
All right, next up, mayor's report. Kind of talk about what Ryan was alluding to. Some of you are aware, we met with HOA from the phase 6, not really phase 5, really, right? Confusing. Phase 6 of the Woodbury HOA, and they have some issues regarding, there's some issues there that the city cannot really, there's nothing we can do about the pool and things like that, but there were some things brought up that they sent us in for us to look at. We had Joe's office look at some of the items, and our staff looked at some of the items. And really, I think it's best, just because from the number of items there are, for us to have a workshop regarding them. That way we can also invite all the individuals back from the HOA, because we probably had, it was almost every chair was full out there, so that's pretty. That way they can hear our findings, and then if there's any questions, they can ask us after that. I don't want to try doing that during a regular meeting or even before a regular meeting, just because I think of the time it may take. I don't want to be squeezed for time. So I think I'll have Jamie send out some days and times for us to do a workshop, and then we'll set all on time for that. And then we'll invite the individuals from the HOA back, so they're here for that also. So I'll have her reach out for a couple of dates, and we'll get that set. So I know Alderman Skinner talked about maybe having an exec session over it. It doesn't appear to really any of it's exec session material, that most of it's stuff that we'll talk about in a public setting. So other than that, I know it's been a little cold and icy, and we're not thinking about probably summertime activities like First Fridays yet, but we do have a meeting scheduled in February with the downtown businesses to discuss what First Fridays will look like this summer. So we'll be coming back to you guys at some point based on what we decide on. In the past, there's been some road closures and things like that. So once we decide kind of how downtown businesses want to organize that, we'll come back with all that and get those approvals. So we'll be doing that in February.
What's
Uh,
that date?
Huh?
What's the date?
That's the 8th.
February 8th?
Yeah, at Iron Kettle. That is all I have. I don't believe we have a need for the executive session, correct?
Correct.
So unless someone has anything else, all right, we'll adjourn.